Welcome to Combination.
Yeah.
You're an interesting man, Scott Lang.
You're
You're an Avenger. You have a daughter, but you've lost a lot of time, like me. We can help each other with that. Who are you? I'm the man who can give you the one thing you want. What's that? Time.
It can rewrite existence and shatter timelines. You cannot trust him.
I don't care who this guy is. I just lost so much. He can give us a second chance.
Let me make this easy for you. You will bring me what I need, or everything you call life will end.
This is all my fault.
You may not want her to watch this.
We had a deal.
You thought you could win.
I don't have to win. We both just have to lose. I'm sorry, Cassie.
Yeah, we're talking about Ant-Man tonight.
Yeah.
So, good evening. Hi, thanks for coming. For those of you who are here for the first time, welcome.
Welcome. For those of you that have been here before, thanks for coming back. Thanks for joining us again.
Yep.
Remember,
Please hit
love
the
Talk
like,
Comics.
hit the subscribe. Yep.
Yes.
Hit
Ring
the,
those
hit the
bells.
heart, hit the bell. Follow us on Twitter. We're on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. Follow Todd
Instagram.
around the corner when he's walking down the street on Instagram. All of it.
Yeah.
We get, we
We do
love
love
it when
it.
you can show up live and play along with us.
Mhm.
'Cause that's always
And if by
fun.
chance you can't, check in later and play along at home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, a couple things you always know about Combinations Trivia Tuesday. It's on Tuesday. The jokes are bad.
They don't get any better.
Never.
More consistent.
Never. And we're always looking to have a little bit of fun. So feel free to recommend us. And if you don't feel as though we are worthy of being recommended, let us know why. And
Yeah.
but tonight we're talking about Ant-Man.
Exactly.
So now every week when we do this, you know what we do. We don't just talk about the character, although we do talk about the character. We focus on a specific graphic novel or story arc. Tonight we are doing Ant-Man and the Wasp, Lost and Found, written by Mark Waid and illustrated by Javier Garon.
Oh, yeah.
Back when I was a teenager, I absolutely mangled that name. I'm so sorry. But back when I was a teenager and I was reading comics and I was first getting into comics, if someone would have come up to me and said, hey, Ant-Man is going to have not one, not two, but 3 smash movies, Todd, do you know what I would have said?
What are you, nuts?
No, I would have said, who's Ant-Man? Because I didn't even know. Ant-Man, I was reading X-Men. I was reading the DC books. I mean, Ant-Man and the Wasp, they were founding members of the Avengers in comic continuity. These folks have always been a very big deal in comics continuity, but they were
Even though
never
they've been very small heroes, they've always been a big
they were never big hits.
deal. Right. Although they are heavy hitters.
So
sometimes.
let's not even go there.
Yeah. Science.
So the first Ant-Man movie was released in 2015, and it was hugely successful. The latest was released in February 2023, and it is hugely successful. And we here at Combination think that you should go buy Ant-Man graphic novels, go watch those newest Ant-Man movies just as soon as you finish our trivia game.
That's right. Stick with us.
Now, if you want to play more or less. If you want to play along, and we love it when you play along, you can go on your second screen. You can go to crowd.live/Y4FES, or you can scan the QC code, or you can just go to crowdpro.com and plug in Y4FES. And I'll take this moment to tell you, we here at Combination make every attempt to bring you accurate and interesting questions. However, from time to time, it can be argued that there are alternate answers to some of the questions. When that happens, or multiple choice, choose the best of the options available, and may the odds be ever in your favor.
Yes.
All right. Are we ready to get started?
I'm ready. Are you ready? Let's get started.
First appearance of the first Ant-Man
was Tales to Astonish.
So yes. Ant-Man is the name of several superheroes appearing in the Marvel Comics. But the first Ant-Man was created what year?
Oh, quarterback in 1962.
Yeah, which is a while ago. September 1962. And it was published in Tales to Astonish, which was a Marvel book. It was originally, Tales to Astonish was the book that began as a science fiction anthology, but it basically was a showcase for a lot of artists that we know today. And it was the starting place for a lot of characters. You know, they would put them in Tales to Astonish, see what the fan reaction was, see how they were, received. And if they did well, they got stuff.
Yeah.
For no additional points, Todd, Ant-Man's original story had the title
The Man in the Anthill.
That is correct. Yay!
Yay!
But as we said, it's been more than the one Ant-Man. Who hasn't been Ant-Man? So, Stuart Goddard, right?
Yes.
Now, Todd,
right.
for no additional points, Stuart Goddard has a professional name, has a stage name. Under what name does Stuart Goddard perform?
He's not Ant-Man. He's Adam Ant.
Adam Ant. Okay, I thought it was funny.
But
as you all, there you go. Hank Pym was.
What do you do?
Hank Pym was the first Ant-Man, and in the movies, he was portrayed by Mike Douglas. Hank is or was a biophysicist and security operations center expert, but then he decided to be a superhero. Scott Lang was the second Ant-Man, and Paul Rudd is playing him in the movies. Yes. Erica Grady has been the most recent Ant-Man. But he was really just a guy who found the suit and got into some antics Yeah, it wasn't good.
Irredeemable.
If memory serves, he was part of the irredeemable Ant-Man, and if you want to know more, read that book.
Yeah. Yes.
But
He's irredeemable.
Scott Lang is the one. Scott Lang and Hank Pym. Those are the ones that we're most familiar with, not only because they've had the most work, but also because they're the ones in the movie. All right, ready for the next?
Uh-huh.
But it's not just Ant-Man, it's Ant-Man and Wasp. So when was Wasp's first appearance? June 1963.
Yep.
Now, the Wasp is one of Marvel's most powerful superheroes. Did I mention one of the founding members of the Avengers? And as a matter of fact, Todd, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe in comics continuity, the Wasp is the one who came up with the name Avengers. Am I wrong?
I believe that's correct, yes. And she's been part of that lineage since the beginning.
Yeah.
Since they first avenged somebody.
Yeah. And yet, in the Marvel in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, she was a little late because, like I said, they've never been big. Pun kind of intended. But the Wasp, like the Ant-Man, has had a couple different folks doing it.
Yep.
The first Wasp was
A Pilgrim? Sorry.
So the first Wasp was Janet Van Dyne. In the Ant-Man movie series, that would be Michelle Pfeiffer.
Right.
Now, as with Ant-Man, there's been subsequent Wasps. We'll unpack that a little bit later. But, by the way, Janet, she is a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant and not a fan of the Orkin Man.
No. Kind of bugs her a little.
Now, Janet had a very specific reason for wanting to become the Wasp, wanting to become a superhero.
Yes.
She wanted to avenge her father, as you do. This is what you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, according to comic continuity, Janet Van Dyne went and partnered with Hank Pym to become his partner because her father, Vernon Van Dyne, needed to be avenged. Vernon Van Dyne, do you remember, Todd?
He was working on trying to detect gamma rays, those things. And he ended up triggering signals from another planet.
Didn't go well. Don't open portals to prison planets, okay? Don't.
Yeah.
It's a bad thing. It will
Stay away
end
from that
badly.
frequency. Kenneth.
But now, and here's another fun one. You know how in the movies, Janet Van Dyne's the wife?
Mm-hmm.
She's not his first wife.
No.
Who's his first wife? That would be Maria Travoia.
Yeah.
So this, by the way, is no retrofit at all. Janet came at some point, but Maria Travoia, being Hank's wife, she debuted in June 1963.
Mm-hmm. So,
she was basically given as the reason that Hank decided to be a superhero. She was a Hungarian dissident. She had protested the Russians, darn those communists. And she had said that Hank was lazy and said that Hank should be as industrious as an ant.
Right.
And then after Maria died, Hank became a superhero. As you do. I would avenge you, Todd. Okay? I would so avenge you, or, or steal your pizza. One of the two.
I'd rather you avenge me. Can't have my pizza.
Now, in the comics, Hank Pym has a daughter. It is not, her name is not Hope.
No.
So here's the way it was. Maria, communist dissident, was kidnapped by commies, darn those commies, right in front of Hank's eyes. And at the time, he wasn't a superhero, so, couldn't really do anything.
Yeah.
And then later, he was told that Maria had died, darn those commies, but...
They lied.
Yeah. Maria remained alive. She was she was in a Russian prisoner. She was in a Russian. She was a Russian prisoner in a Russian prison. Figure out how that goes. And then she gave birth to the daughter. But shortly after the daughter was born, Nadia, she passed away. In comic continuity, there isn't a Hope Pym, although Nadia apparently in Russian means hope. But Nadia was there. Nadia was there way before Hope was. Just saying. Just saying.
Yes.
While in Russia, Nadia was trained in the
White House? No.
Not the White House. Not the White Room with black curtains.
No.
She was in the Red Room. And Todd, do we know anybody else who was trained in the Red Room?
Oh, a couple people. Two different Black Widows, Natasha Romanoff and Yelena Belova. And a couple other female assassins over the years have showed up.
I want to say Clairvoyant was, but I think that Clairvoyant might predate the Red Room. But yeah. So Nadia is a really, lethal fighter and a great ballerina.
Yes.
Again, in comics continuity, Nadia escaped from the Red Room, escaped from the Russians, darn commies, came looking for her family, and has been formally adopted and accepted by Janet Pym. Family is important. Family is definitely a recurring theme with the Ant-Man over and over and over again. They were one of the first superhero couples. They were one of the first ones to get married, the whole thing.
Yep. Long before Reed and Sue and all that.
Yeah, exactly. Work-life balance, they were figuring it out.
Yeah. No small feat.
Those doohickeys that help them change size, get big, get small. What are those called again?
Calories. Oh.
Man. Okay, Todd, since there's a little confusion here,
yes.
To be clear, the way that Pym particles work are that on a subatomic level, Pym particles enable mass to be shunted or gained from an alternate dimension.
Yeah.
Okay? Thereby changing the size of beings or objects. It's not that they just take the existing cell, etc., and make it bigger or smaller. They actually put it someplace else for a minute.
Yeah, they actually displace the mass in some other dimension. Because otherwise...
And Pym particles, which Hank Pym did discover, those were hugely popular, hugely important in the Avengers Endgame movie. but are actually really, really, well, obviously important to everybody in the Wasp and Ant-Man family.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we know Scott Lang is the current Ant-Man, or at least the current one for MCU in most things.
Mm-hmm.
When did he debut?
In the comics.
In the comics, it was 1979. So, what, 30 some odd years later, 35 years later, there's a new Ant-Man.
Yep.
And, Todd, it was March 1979 and April 1979, depending on the issue you're talking about. Do you remember the book?
Mm-hmm. In March, it was Avengers 181.
Mm-hmm.
And in April, it was Marvel Premiere 47. Yeah.
Yeah. And Scott Lang was created by Bob Layton, John Byrne, and
David McElhaney.
Yep. And Scott's the second superhero to go by Ant-Man. Now, in the comics continuity, unlike the movie continuity, Scott had a job. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was an ex-con, but he had a job working at Stark Industries. So I guess they're a little lax with the background check.
Yeah. You know, when the head of security is always too happy to help out.
Now, again, in comics continuity, Scott stole Hank's tech.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that.
I borrowed it, really, but, you know.
Yeah.
Stole, borrowed.
He wanted to rescue someone.
Yes. He had good intentions. He's trying to help out. The good doctor.
Dr. Sondheim. Insert musical joke here. Now, again, the movie, Scott Lang went and stole the Ant-Man suit. In comic continuity, yes. In the movie, I don't know, he kind of wanted the money. Somebody had asked him to, you know, but that was basically it. In comic continuity, he needed the tech to go rescue Dr. Erica Sondheim. Now, Erica Sondheim, in comic continuity, is the leading medical doctors and surgeon. She is the heart specialist above all others.
Mm-hmm.
So she has had, in the Marvel Universe, she made her debut in Iron Man. She was a recurring character. She did surgery on the Hulk. She did surgery on Tony Stark. And, you know.
Yeah.
And Scott needed some help.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and frankly, so because the doctor, something bad had happened. Something bad.
Yep.
She'd been kidnapped.
Darn the luck.
Now, again, do you remember the first movie? Do you remember that the evil villain was?
Darren Cross.
Okay. Darren Cross eventually in comic book continuity, but I think almost immediately in the movie became the evil villain, Yellow Jacket. In comics continuity, Darren Cross had kidnapped her. I mean, not him exactly, but evil henchmen, you know, evil henchmen working for Darren Cross, although I'm not sure there's such a thing as a good henchman ever. Cross had mutated, or I think he was mutated by his pacemaker, bad tech. And he needed Dr. Sondheim to perform a risky heart transplant to save his life. I'm not sure the person who had donated the heart to Darren Cross was done using it. kind of part of the reason why Dr. Sondheim had some issues. Maybe
Don't
she
take all the
just
way
didn't
for
take his
Sondheim.
insurance. Huh?
Well, which made him sad. But then he had Blue Cross. No?
Now, Scott just wasn't saving the doctor out of the goodness of his heart, although he has a fairly good heart. He wanted the doctor to save someone important in his life.
Good.
And that person is his daughter. Because we know Scott Lang loves his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Scott's daughter was born with a heart defect. Again, this is in the comics, not in the movie. In the movie, she's perfectly fine. She did in the movie, though. In the first movie, she was portrayed by
Abby Ryder.
Abby Robert Fortson.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second actress to play her was Emma Furman.
Yeah.
And then now in the most recent movie, she's
portrayed by Catherine Newton.
And she's a heartbreaker.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we know that Scott's daughter is Cassie.
Mm-hmm.
What's that short for?
Oh, I thought it was Cassiopeia.
No, you're thinking Battlestar Galactica. So Cassie Lang, I know. Tricky. Cassie Lang first appeared in Comics Continuity, Marvel Premiere number 47, which was
one of those first two appearances scored back in April 1979.
Yep. And again, it's been a minute, and she's initially she was Stature, and then I think she changed her call sign to Stinger. And she's been a member of the Young Avengers, the Initiative,
a couple of girl gangs of superheroes, helped out some other people along the way.
Exactly. And again,
she's always trying to do the right thing.
Well, according to Comics Continuity, when Scott Lang started to be the superhero, etc., he did try to keep his daughter away from it. He tried to keep her in the dark about that. But as kids do, they figured out what their parents were up to. And again, according to Comics Continuity, Cassie broke into her dad's stash of pin particles, did a little experimentation, and became. So probably better than breaking into the liquor cabinet, but should you have dangerous futuristic tech at home, keep it away from your kids. This has been a public service announcement.
Right. Make sure you use PIM particles safely.
Exactly.
And don't drive and shrink.
All right. In Lost and Found, Scott wants to get home in time for what? It's a birthday party, which there's some birthday parties that kind of figure into the movie as well, but go see the movie, find out more. Yeah, in fact, he wants to get home in time for Cassie's birthday party. He's got this super weird present for her, but that's his thing, isn't it?
Yes.
So, and Todd, exactly. One of the movie themes for the most recent movie is that Scott wants to reclaim the time, both from prison that he lost from the prison, for the loss from the snap, but because it's about family, and how you're entangled with them.
Mm-hmm.
So again, illustrations and questions are from Ant-Man and the Wasp, Lost and Found, available wherever fine graphic novels are sold. Wasp was just trying to help Ant-Man get home to Earth to see his daughter, but a little problem got in the way. Very little. Subatomic, as a matter of fact. Scott Lang has been lost in the vast spaces between the atoms. Now, Nadia is his only hope of rescue, and, well, that's going to be a problem because he doesn't listen to her.
No.
So, this was written by Mark Waid and, again, illustrated by Javier Garon. It's a big journey that's getting small. So Mark Waid, he has been writing comic books for 30 years. He's a New York Times bestseller. He's written what? He's written Superman. He's written Spider-Man.
Kingdom Come. Independent books like Irredeemable.
Yep.
And some Legion of Superheroes and some Avengers books, and I think he did a stint on Iron Man. He's done a stint on Daredevil. He's done a stint on Black Widow. He's done a stint on Captain America. Yeah, he's covered all of them.
Meanwhile, Javier Garon, he's only been in the industry a couple of years. However, he's worked on Ant-Man, obviously. He worked on Miles Morales' Spider-Man, and he's done a lot of stuff for Star Wars, including Star Wars The High Republic, Star Wars Han Solo, and Chewbacca.
Yes.
Just done great things.
Yeah. And some sharp art.
And the winner is Michael! Good job. Thanks for playing, everyone.
Well done.
I'm seeing Mary, who was our returning champ.
Yes.
We want to say that's basically going to be our show for tonight. Thank you for coming. If you have any comments, complaints, compliments, send us a quick email at d.com.nation@gmail.com. If there's a book you'd like us to cover, go ahead and do it. You know,
Absolutely.
Let us know. How can we be better? God knows we couldn't be worse. How can we bring joy to you?
Yeah.
We hope you tune in next week. And above all,
read more comics.
There you go.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.